Hey, I want to welcome you to week one of More Than a Story. So glad you and your group are doing this together. Maybe you're sitting with some friends or you're with your family. This past Sunday, we kicked off a new series on the parables of Jesus that are going to lead us right into the Easter story. But Jesus would tell parables to help people relate to his purpose for coming. And so Jesus would tell these stories, but reality is this: it was so much more than just a story. It was an opportunity for people's lives to be changed forever. And my hope over these next several weeks is that maybe God does a work in our own lives where we see life change take place. And as we head into the Easter season, we see the greatest story of all, and that is Jesus and the resurrection. You know, every one of us, when we wake up, we all have our own routine. You hear the alarm go off, you hit snooze 3 times, you brush your teeth, maybe you take a shower, you brush your hair, you set the coffee and get it ready. You look in the mirror and you get ready, and on your day goes. And here's the reality about our routines of life. 1, very rarely do we ever deviate from them. And 2, we usually go to the same place, we do the same thing, and we see the same people, or we talk or interact with the same people. Very rarely does it ever change. And in this story today that we're going to look at week 1 as we kick off, the story of the Good Samaritan. It's probably the most famous parable of all. If it's not number 1, it's 1A, this or the prodigal son. And Jesus told this story to help people understand what it really means to have compassion and love for someone else. You know, we said on Sunday that we throw the term Good Samaritan around way more often than maybe we should. This story is misunderstood. If you help an old lady across the street, you're a Good Samaritan. If you help your neighbor change their flat tire, you're a Good Samaritan. But what's really the meaning behind the story? You know, Jesus was asked by someone who understood Scripture. Jesus was asked, "Who is my neighbor?" But really what the guy was asking Jesus was this: Jesus, how should I treat people, but yet I can still be a good person? What is the minimum requirement that I can do for someone and still be good in the eyes of God? And so Jesus told the story of the Good Samaritan. A Jewish man was going from Jerusalem down to Jericho on what was considered the most dangerous road at that time. Some robbers saw this man and they robbed him, they beat him, they stripped him, and they left him for dead. And there he was on the side of the road, and 2 people passed by, a priest and a Levite. On paper, either one of these 2 people should have helped this guy. I mean, a priest, he's the one who leads people at the church on how to live out the ways of Jesus. And he just completely ignored him. The Levite, for those of you who don't know what a Levite is basically the assistant to the priest. He's someone who grew up in the tribe of Levi, which were the ministers of their day. And he too ignored him and passed by on the other side. But the one person who had every reason to ignore him and to turn away from him was the Samaritan. I mean, we said on Sunday, and many of you already know this, that Samaritans and Jews, they were arch enemies. They were rivals. They were worse than UNC and Duke. They were worse than U90 boy band fans. They were worse than NSYNC and Backstreet Boys. Some of you have no clue what I'm talking about right now. Ask your kid or ask your grandkid. But the one person who had every reason to ignore and walk away was the one who decided to do something. Now, before you dive into your discussion and dive into your group, I want to highlight 2 things. And number 1 is this: how do you see people? Because here's the reality. How you see people determines how you respond to people. Our view always determines our response. It doesn't matter what the topic is. If you're invited to a 5-star restaurant, you're going to show up early and you're going to dress nice and you're going to be ready. If you're invited to a really fancy concert, maybe it's a play, a Broadway show, you're going to get ready and you're going to get there on time, and you know it's going to be a lot of parking, so you're going to get there early and you're going to be prepared and in your seat and anticipating something great to happen. But here's the question. When someone invites you to go to their kid's 6th grade band recital, Or maybe they invite you to go to church. Do you show up on time? Do you get there early? Do you get there like you're ready and anticipating something great to happen? You're going to respond completely different to a 5-star restaurant, a concert that's like by a Broadway artist, or if someone invites you to go to McDonald's or Chick-fil-A. 2 completely different responses, but the principle is still the same. Our view determines our response. And in this story, we see the 3 most common ways all of us view people. The robbers saw this man walking from Jerusalem to Jericho. You know what they saw? They saw him as someone to take advantage of. There's someone who's dressed nice, has money, has what I want, has what I need, and so they beat him up. They abused him. They manipulated him. They tricked him. They deceived him because all they saw was someone that could make their lives better, personal gain. And so they took advantage of him. My question's this: when you see people, do you see them as someone simply as a means to an end? That they can make your life better, they can improve your way of living, they can put more money in your pocket. That's how the robbers saw this man. The priest and the Levite, they saw this man as someone to avoid. They saw someone on the side of the road hurt, laying there, and so you know what they did? They crossed by on the other side of the road. They got as far away from him as possible. Because here's the deal. If I'm at a distance, the further away I am from someone, then the more justified I am to not help them. If I can't see them, if I'm not right there up close with them, then I don't feel a personal responsibility to help them. So we avoid people. We ignore people. I don't want to see their hurt. I don't want to see their need because then I might have to do something about it. When you see people, do you see them as being too needy, too difficult, as someone who's not worth your time, your effort, your energy? Just like the priest and the Levite, when we see people, do we see them as someone to avoid at all costs? We can take advantage of people, we can avoid people, or we can see this person like the Good Samaritan did. Someone who is worthy of God's love. Someone who is made in the image of God. Someone who is in need right now of experiencing the love and the compassion and the mercy of God. And the way they experience the love of God is through me. Through what I have, through what I'm capable of doing. Your view always determines your response. Do you see people to take advantage of, to avoid, or worthy of being loved? Can I ask you this question? When was the last time you even saw someone that was in need? Do you just go through your routine, your day-to-day business of life, without ever looking for someone who is in need of God's love? And let me ask you this question. Who do you struggle to love the most? And why do you struggle so much to love them? In just a moment, you're going to have an opportunity to dive into those questions. But let me just share one more thing about this story that we didn't talk about on Sunday. Not only does our view determine our response, but the second thing is this. So many of us, we're just like the priest and the Levite. And what I mean by that is this. We're looking for a reason, or what we call an excuse, to not help. What's your excuse? What's your struggle to be like the Good Samaritan, to have mercy and love and compassion? Can I tell you the 2 biggest reasons we have excuses? Now listen, there are some legitimate excuses or reasons for why something does or does not happen. But there are 2 major types of excuses. And the first type is something to get us out of doing something that somebody else wants us to do. We give excuses to get us out of doing something. I give an excuse for why I can't pick you up. I give an excuse for why I can't pay you back. I give an excuse for why I can't help you move. I give an excuse for why I can't meet with you because my wife needs me to come home and kill a spider. What's your excuse to get out of doing what God has called you to do? And the second type of excuse we give is we give excuses to justify why we did something. We give excuses to get out of it, and we give excuses to justify why we did it. Well, let me explain why I said what I said about you. Let me explain why I did what I did. Let me explain why it wasn't my fault. And that's what the priest and the Levite did. They gave excuses. I'm too busy. I'm in a rush. I don't have time. I don't have the specialization required to help them. I don't have the resources necessary. And so we give excuses to avoid seeing people the way Jesus does, and we give excuses to avoid doing what Jesus would want us to do. Which of these excuses do you struggle with the most? The get out excuse or the justify excuse? As you dive into your discussion in this group, my prayer for you is real simple. I pray that before this group ends, that you would see people the way Jesus does, that you would respond to people the way Jesus did, and that you would realize the story of the Good Samaritan is way more than just a story. I'm so glad you're here, and I can't wait to see what God does in these next few minutes. Have a great discussion.